Hello, good afternoon, greetings to all of you, my dear brothers and sisters. Dear friends, today actually I am making this presentation in front of you like yesterday, that is last night, I shared the wise essence with you regarding the overall essence of the early morning hours, that what divine significance it carries with it, correct? And for what reason it is regarded as Brahma Muhurat or Amrit-Vela, that is how it acts as the divine nectar or the the life-giving or the life-giving balm for the soul. That's why it's regarded as Amrit. And why and how does it aligns the overall energy of the self with that of the universe, as the overall environment is quite in synchrony with the beautiful melodies of the beauty, the inner beauty of the self. So that's how the beauty can be created and manifested. That is the original innate that is the original innate fragrance of the soul, as the overall vibration of the environment is also very friendly, right? So the inner silence, the matching of the inner silence with the outer silence, so that's how we can attain that particular wisdom. And my friends, that's the need of the hour. And why did that message got lengthy? I just wanted to iterate this point, and what actually triggered me to actually write this write up last night was the recent attack on it was a recent Kashmir attack. Like I mentioned there, the lowering level of the patience of the people around us. I actually mentioned this because that is not in our hands. Like the people who had gone to Kashmir, they faced this thing. The patience level or the tolerance level of the people. I wanted to mention about those terrorists, correct? That thing is beyond our control. We cannot do anything in that. But what got manifested, all of us are quite aware. Though those people lost their lives, but a calm silence, like Modi ji, how our respectable prime minister, our honorable prime minister, how did he retaliate, or I would say how did he respond in a very wise manner to the Operation Sindoor? That is the very wise alarm for those violent triggers from from uh, uh, from the people who have no minds, or I would say who have no vision actually of themselves. And like I'm addressing those terrorists or the agencies behind them, the mindsets prevailing in them has led them to a very sorry state of ambiguity. They are unfamiliar with their own selves. That's what I wanted to address last night. Similarly, and that Operation Sindoor, that did minimalistic damage, that was just a wise silent alarm, or the warning to stop the water. Did So that was a very wise approach, very wise approach. No harm to anyone. That's the true respect for the humanity, the true respect to the mankind, and the eternal dignity for the self, and the self and the self region for which he is responsible of, our honorable divine leader. That's the wonderful trait, and that's the quality of the silent mind. And the recent attack again on the prime minister, our respectable prime minister, was within our own country, like the people who were passing very false remarks or very sorry remarks for his late mother, old lady, the late mother. That also he With that also he addressed very, very politely, very, very wisely, I would say, very, very wisely. You know, one who is silent within, one who is calm within, is able to manifest divinity. And when we, and the early morning hour silence, our Modiji is the practical example of this wise epitome, the eternal embodiment, like our president, Mrs. Draupadi Murmuji, Ma'am Draupadi Murmuji, our honorable president, our honorable president. All of us know, like a few years ago, many people passed remarks on her, like while addressing Sir. But we know her overall background, her personal background, her personal history, like being a Dalit, and and though she has lost all her family members, her husband, her three children. All of us are very, very well aware of her autobiography, of her biography. But that innate divine silence, that presence of mind, how to excel, and the very, very eternal balance of selflessness, and also maintaining the self-respect. That's a beautiful power of the silent mind, and that gets very, very well manifested in the early morning hours of Amrit-Vela. That's why a few days ago, when I encountered this particular message, when I encountered this particular link which I shared with you, the Instagram link of Amrit-Vela, of the significance of morning hours of introspection or meditating with the self in the early morning hours in Brahma Muhurt, and yes, concentrating on Him, hearing our own divine voice. That's the eternal need of the hour. And you know that these were the main triggers for me to address this thing. And like as I mentioned, the Ahmedabad plane crash, there also we know within 2-3 seconds, rather, like the range from 3 seconds to roughly 2-3 minutes, and everything was done. And that presence of mind worked for him a lot, like where to land that plane. And there are many such places, there are many such instances. If you see the recent past history, not only at the national level but also at the international level as well, that how did people's presence of mind usually did work with divine miracles, with divine miraculous results, even though they know that it's the last moment, but still how to save the mankind, or with the minimalistic loss. And this example is in front of us. And here also, like as we know, the pilot who has lost his life in this Ahmedabad plane crash, a lot of political games were being played, where many people were actually blaming his misconduct. They were actually putting they were putting this label for his misconduct, which is absolutely false. He is such a divine man of eternal dignity. If we are very well aware of this entire case of the plane crash, the pilot was not at fault. All of us are very well aware of the technical glitches, or what were the reasons which were responsible for. But his family, how did they act? Because these environmental situations, these external environmental situations, where the people, like with regards to the instances I have put across here, there we know that we can't control them. Our Prime Minister is a live example. He knows that he can't control the other party. He can't control what they are doing. But the very, very wise approach, where to stay silent, what to say, when to say, how to say, and with the very, very main focus, or the enlightening focus on what am I supposed to do at the present moment? What am I responsible of doing right now? Where I need to focus, where I need to align my overall energy as my eternal focal point. Right? So that actually requires a very, very calm and divine silence within, the eternal silence within, which actually manifests into such a wise, enlightening light that whatever thoughts you create, hence whatever you express through your voice is in divine synchrony. It's in a very, very divine symphony with the voice of the universe. And that's what will be automatically reflected through your actions. That is your thoughts, words, and deeds. Correct? When you take the ultimate eternal responsibility on the self, that you are entirely responsible for your thoughts, for your words, and hence for your actions, realizing who we are and what's the real purpose of our life. What's the real purpose of our life? And you move ahead with a very, very divine smile. With a very, very divine smile. And yes, with such a beautiful manifestation of good wishes for everyone. And that's what we call in two phrases, that is the presence of mind, rather three phrases, the presence of mind. And like these are the reminders for us, whatever we are observing around ourselves, right? Up till now, we have talked about these. We have talked about these instances of the which are actually the creation of the ignorant mindset of certain people, and that requires a very, very large wisdom, a very, very large scale of wisdom, that we do not have control upon that. Like this Kashmir thing, no one had control over that thing. But what to do now? And eternal salutes to their family members, their wives, the mothers, the sisters who came who came back to their home without their counterparts, without their sons, without their husbands on that very day. That's the eternal power of the silence. And the overall result and the overall response to that event is the eternal example in front of us. That's the example of wise silence. Even though we are very well aware that what's happening in the other parts of the world when such types of things happen, and how do they reciprocate. But our action was so foresight, was so far-sighted that everyone, that's why, because that's the originality of the soul, and that's the originality of the divine human being, and that's the real wise conduct. That's why that's why our leaders are being appreciated. That's why Modi ji is being appreciated. That's why Draupadi Murmu ji is being appreciated, because they apply that same concept, that similar thinking within their own premises, that is within their own land, when the other people pass such remarks. So that's like on his own mother, like the personal remarks. But we know, we are very well aware of this thing. And that's the eternal example of simplicity, like being a tea seller, because that shows that work is worship. And that's such a beautiful, simplistic thing. And that's how we are carrying our indigenous traits elsewhere and everywhere. And respecting everyone for their individuality, because we are at our eternal respect. We are aware of what we are supposed to do. And the early morning hours are the eternal. That time is the eternal. That time is the eternal face. Is the eternal face, which charges us for the entire day. Which actually charges us for the entire day to manifest a divine calm and eternal silence within. As we are very well aware of our eternal Prime Minister, of our honorable Prime Minister, he also emphasizes on this thing, and he also practices this, and his conduct is an absolute wise example in front of us. And likewise for our honorable President Draupadi Murmu ji, such a divine charisma, who respect the sanctity and divinity of every being across the globe. It's like we just bow in front of them. And how does this get manifested when we apply this in our daily lives? When we actually practice this thing in our daily lives. In our daily lives, for for the normal things as well, like when we practice this lifestyle, we are able to develop this kind of mindset in our office work, in our personal life. And that's how, like when we, like हम एक हिंदी में एक कहावत है, बहुत काल का अभ्यास काम आता है. तो when you keep practicing this thing on your daily life, that becomes a part of your inner self, that becomes a part of your inner virtues, like how you are carrying yourself or how you are defining yourself, how what you are getting very very close to the definition of your own real self, that how a person and ideally should be, and what's the purpose of the life. What's the purpose of the life? तो जब कोई भी जब ऐसी सिचुएशन सामने आती है, आप इसको अपने आप नेचुरली ऐसे इसको ओवरकम ऐसे करते हो. And the recent example, the recent incidents which we have actually faced, or we are very well aware of in Punjab, the floods. We are very well aware that our Punjab residents, our dear brothers and sisters, are so cooperative. They are so overwhelming. Everyone is actually, but specifically we have seen their example. We have specifically seen them. All of us are very well aware of this thing, right? So, and they help everyone. So now, when they are themselves struck with this uncontrollable or unforeseen catastrophic event, or the natural catastrophe of the floods, of the devastating floods, that external situation has the caliber to devastate or to cause devastation. But how to conquer it with the self esteem, with the confidence of the self, with the presence of mind, that example is very well evident in front of us. So the cattle are getting flown with the high tides. The livelihood is getting destroyed. The overall life of people has got deteriorated. Many people have lost their lives, everything, and like an unexplainable loss to the wealth. Everything we are seeing there in the reels, in the news we are seeing, and right. But what are we actually also seeing? The eternal confidence of those very citizens who are themselves at loss. They are also helping each other through the langar seva, and helping like those who are themselves in trouble. They are also helping their brothers and sisters unconditionally in Punjab itself. They are not waiting for the external help to come and help their brothers and sisters who are actually facing a lot of difficulty. They themselves who are in difficulty, they are approaching each other. They are approaching the other person as well there to help them. Like, what is that? That's the presence of mind. We all know that this is the innate responsibility of a person to be a human. But at that very moment, how to bring this particular virtue into practice at that very moment when such a major crisis strikes us, that very well gets defined through in these examples. And that's a very good example of the presence of mind, because they're very well aware what we are supposed to do, because it's in their blood कि हमें करना क्या है, हमारा फ़र्ज़ क्या है, हमारा धर्म क्या है. क्योंकि उसको रोज़ अगर ऐसे प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं तो ये कोई बड़ी बात नहीं उनके लिए कि अगर ऐसी सिचुएशन आए तो अब हमें क्या करना है. Like, this is an eternal example. And like, one more thing is coming in my mind, that is, जब अभी एक earthquake आया था. Yes, एक earthquake आया था in Gujarat, like 20 years back, or even more than that. All of us are very well aware of that thing. That was on 26th January, if I'm not wrong, like in 2000 or 2002. There, a lot of devastation occurred because of its natural catastrophe, which is an earthquake. But I still remember one thing, that there was one mother upon whom the entire building had fallen. That picture came in the newspaper also. That picture came in the newspaper. That the entire building had fallen upon her, but she was lying still like this. She had even died. But she made sure that she doesn't fall on her 6-month-old baby, 6 month or 1 year old baby. I think he was 6 month old, 6 month या 7 month old थे, because he could not move. तो वो ऐसे ही ऐसे बैठ रहे स्लांटिंग में और पूरी बिल्डिंग पे गिरी हुई थी, but she didn't fall down क्योंकि वो सन के ऊपर ना गिर जाए. What does that mean? The presence of mind, with a calm, silent mind, the things on which we don't have any control. ये तो बहुत ही extraordinary example है. ये बहुत ही extraordinary example है. तो ये क्या है? एंड वी नो मदर का तो हम जानते हैं क्या एक गॉड ने वाइज एक उनमें क्या ऐसा एक मदरली क्वालिटी ऐसे भरी है, बिकॉज ऑफ विच एंटायर सृष्टि इज वर्किंग on the divine quality of motherhood and fatherhood, right? तो mothers की जो inbuilt capability, and this teaches us कि हमें like how we need to mother every situation, how we need to mother everything. That's how the leaders are chosen, and that's how we are seeing these leaders in Narendra Modi ji, who is actually mothering everything, who is nurturing everything, not only within our own country, but whatsoever situation comes, like at an international level as well to us. Like if this was a threatening situation for us, the Kashmir attack, so how did he mother this situation? He mothered this situation. That's with a very calm, wise and stylish state of mind, who doesn't seek for any appreciation, but just know, but he just knows what am I supposed to do. That's why when he was attacked verbally for his late mother, the very very bad remarks which were passed on her within our own country, the opposite party, then also he remained silent, and he gave a very very wise answer to them, and he knows how to respect the humanity. For them also he has a very very great inner respect, and he corrects or rectifies the false deeds of, he attempts to rectify the false deeds of the other people through his wise conduct. And that's the power of the inner silence, the calmness within. The calmness within. He is also a human being like all of us. Like every one of us are same and equal, and that's the eternal approach these people follow within them. And that gets manifested very beautifully when we wake up early, sleep early, waking up in the early morning hours, getting aligned with the calmness and the silence, that eternal beauty of the nature which is gifting to us, which is gifting to us to get connected to self and thus the nature, and get aware of what is the real purpose of life and how to make it eternally beautiful. On the other hand, on the contrary, like the people who wake up late, obviously they sleep late. And when they sleep late, that means that they are awake in the late night hours. They are awake in the late night hours. So obviously, in the late night hours, what we are observing, the chaos, the confusion, and all of us are very well aware that what is happening in the late night. Chaos, confusion, tiredness, everything. So automatically that will get manifested in your actions and in your personality that is chaotic, that is the chaotic confused personality, and a total absence of mind, no presence of mind, absence of mind. So this shows us very beautifully that how these morning hours are actually important, or very very beautifully significant, to enhance and understand your overall purpose for your overall purpose of life, and hence beautifying the overall vitality of the overall vitality of our purpose of being a human. And then automatically, we as human beings, when we realize why we are human, what is the purpose of being a human, then that will get automatically reflected in our doing phase, because we are very well in synchrony with our thoughts and words with the real purpose of our life. So automatically that will get manifested in all our deeds. That is, thoughts, words, and deeds will be in equal harmony with the self and the real essence of attaining tranquility or keeping the holy dignity and sanctity alive of the universe alive with our deeds. And that's the real purpose of all of us. Correct? And that's how we can manifest this. And my dear friends, it's actually the requirement, it's the call of time to practice this lifestyle. Right? To practice this lifestyle. It's the call of time. Because these chaotic environmental factors, though through natural catastrophes or through the man-made things which we have discussed, because we are surrounded with such environment, yes, because ये majority में है, ये 97% and 98% चीज़ें prevail कर रही हैं in the people, correct? क्योंकि ये तो कश्मीर का हमने देखा, ये तो एक major factors हैं, या ये जैसे प्लेन क्रैश का हमने देखा, ये सब, एंड उसके बाद जो लोग उन पर टिप्पणी ऐसे कर रहे हैं, ऐसे अनलिमिटेड एग्जाम्पल्स हैं वर्ल्ड में, राइट? एंड जब इसको छोटी छोटी चीज़ों में प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, लाइक अपने ऑफिस में कि हमें कैसे स्टेबल रहना है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली वर्क करेगा. तो when to like keeping your energy conserved, that's the main thing. Where you need to put your focus, like power to withdraw, unconditional love, acceptance, power to accommodate, power to tolerate, power to accept, and then which we call actually विस्तार को संकीर्ण करने की शक्ति. Then acceptance, that is accept करने की शक्ति, स्वीकार करने की शक्ति, समेटने की शक्ति, समाने की शक्ति, right? ये कैसे नर्चर होती है. देन द पावर टू फेस, सामना करने की शक्ति. सामना कब करना है, किन चीज़ों का करना है और कैसे करना है, दैट मैटर्स अ लॉट. और कब करना है, किस चीज़ का करना है और किस तरीके से करना है. एंड देन पावर टू रिप्लाई, एंड मेन अब आता है पावर टू कोऑपरेट, दैट इज सहयोग करने की शक्ति. सहयोग करने की शक्ति वो तभी होगा जब हमारा खुद अंदर से एक ब्यूटीफुल योग होगा, उनसे योग होगा, और एक डिवाइन सिंक्रोनी, एक इन्वायरमेंट के साथ योग होगा, तो हम ऑटोमेटिकली सब बींग्स को हम ऑटोमेटिकली सहयोग करेंगे, राइट? बिकॉज सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन लीड्स टू इटर्नल पीस. एंड इसमें एक बहुत अच्छी एक चीज़ हम बोलते हैं, हिम्मत बच्चे मदद बाप, राइट? हिम्मत बच्चे मदद बाप. हिम्मत बच्चे कब होगा, जब हम हिम्मत कब करेंगे, जब हम खुद बड़े साइलेंट होते हैं, पीसफुल होते हैं, शांत चित्त होते हैं. एक हमें बहुत एक वाइज समझ एक आती है जब हम इस तरीके की लाइफस्टाइल को हम अंदर से जब खुद को पहचानते हैं ना, तो एक शांति अगर हमने अपने पर्पस को पहचाना, वो है अर्ली मॉर्निंग आज के थ्रू में ये कर सकते हैं ऐसे लाइफस्टाइल को करके. नहीं, खुद पहचाना, हम चल रहे हैं. अब हम अगर सही चीज़ पर चलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, जब अपने फिर डेली रूटीन में जब आते हैं, फिर आता है हिम्मत बच्चे मदद बाप. वो हमेशा हमारी मदद करने के हासिल हैं. जब अंदर पीसफुल होंगे, we will hear the divine whispers of the universe and with that eternal connection with our supreme source, with our parent, like आत्मा और परमात्मा का संबंध, जो हमारे परम पिता हैं हम आत्माओं के, एक वो एस्टैब्लिश होगा. इससे बहुत डिवाइन पीस एंड पावर एस्टैब्लिश होता है. वो डेवलप होगा ना, सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन एंड गॉड रियलाइजेशन, विच ऑटोमेटिकली लीड्स सेल्फ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन. तो ये कंटिन्यूस हम इस पे चलते रहते हैं, पूरे दिन हम इस पे चलते रहेंगे. जो भी कोई ऐसे हम हमारी जो दिनचर्या में बातें आती हैं, लाइक इन आवर होम, इन आवर ऑफिस, हम ऐसे इसको बहुत ब्यूटीफुली करेंगे और ये हमारे एक दिनचर्या में आ जाएगा. एंड वी आर वेरी वेल अवेयर कि आसपास क्या इन्वायरमेंट है, हमारे के अंदर एक विजडम आएगी, एक मेच्योरिटी आएगी. और ये जब कभी ऐसी चीज़ें कुछ ऐसे आए जो कभी अनएक्सपेक्टेड, हम इसको भी बहुत ईजिली ऐसे क्रॉस कर पाएंगे, right? विद अ वेरी वेरी वाइज थिंग, एंड ऐसे सब पावर्स ऐसे नर्चर होंगी जो हमने भी, जिनका भी हमने विश्लेषण किया, जिनको भी हमने मेंशन किया, और अल्टीमेटली हम सबको सहयोग दे पाएंगे। राइट ऐसे आता है, ऐसे ही और ये क्यों है? क्योंकि प्रेजेंस ऑफ माइंड है। दैट इज हमें क्या आएगा पूरे दिन भर? हमें ये दिन भर ही आएगा पेशेंस। लाइक जो भी हो रहा है, दैट इज हम कहते हैं ड्रामा, मतलब हम इसको एक प्ले की तरह देखेंगे, हम कहेंगे ड्रामा के ज्ञान से धीरज, हमें एक धीरज आएगा। एंड दैट्स हाउ इवन लिविंग इन सच टाइप ऑफ इन्वायरमेंट जो एक्सटर्नली है, हम उसमें एक गोल्ड एक गोल्ड वैसल की तरह रह पाएंगे। और ऐसे हम इसको प्रतीत करेंगे, हम देख भी रहे हैं, एग्जाम्पल्स हमारे सामने हैं। ऐसे ही तो नहीं ये सृष्टि ऐसे चल रही, एंड इस सृष्टि पे इसी तरीके से हेवनली लाइफस्टाइल तभी क्रिएट होता है और होना ही है, और ये हो रहा है, तभी तो हम उनको रिमेंबर करते हैं, बट इन द राइट वे एंड ऐसे प्रैक्टिस। एंड अल्टीमेटली अगर हम जब पेशेंस से चलेंगे, धीरज से चलेंगे, एक समझ से चलेंगे, जब आएगी तब हम उसके जब आएगी माइंडसेट में, और उसको हम कल्टिवेट करते हैं। फिर क्या लास्ट में आता है? परिवार के ज्ञान से शुभ भावना, शुभकामना, सबके लिए गुड विशेस और ब्लेसिंग्स लेकर चलते हैं, गुड विशेस और ब्लेसिंग्स लेकर चलते हैं। तभी तो हम देखें जो हमारे सामने एग्जाम्पल्स हैं, मोदी जी ने भले ऑपरेशन सिंदूर किया, जब उसको उन्होंने एक आंसर रिस्पॉन्ड करना चाहा, बिकॉज दैट रिक्वायर्ड अ रिस्पॉन्स, बट उनके मन में परिवार के ज्ञान से शुभ भावना और शुभ कामनाएं थी, सबके लिए यूनिफॉर्म लव है। तभी तो उन्होंने मिनिमलिस्टिक एक जस्ट उनको एक अलार्मिंग सिग्नल की तरह कहा कि दैट यू कैन नॉट डू दिस। उन्होंने किसी को हार्म नहीं किया, किसी को हार्म नहीं किया। ऐसे ही तो हमने भगत सिंह के वक्त के, जो हमारे भगत सिंह जी के वक्त जब था, उन्होंने कोर्ट, भले ब्रिटिशर्स इतना वो करते थे उस टाइम पे, जो तब टाइम फेस था, तब ऐसे करते थे, लेकिन उन्होंने साइलेंट ऐसा बॉम्ब विस्फोट किया पार्लियामेंट में। भगत सिंह के साथ 2 लोग और थे, 2 वीरजन और थे, बट उससे किसी को नुकसान नहीं किया। उनके माइंड में तो किसी को नुकसान ना हो, बट एक अलार्मिंग सिग्नल की तरह। एंड अभी प्रेजेंट लीडर्स हम खुद देख रहे हैं अपने आसपास, राइट? तो हम इनसे सीखना है, इनसे सीखना है। हमने महात्मा गांधी जी को महात्मा टाइटल क्यों दिया? ऑल ऑफ अस अवेयर कि उन्होंने किस तरीके से अपना कंडक्ट किया। दैट अंडरलाइंग थिंग वाज कि सबके लिए एक समान दृष्टि, एक समान प्यार, एक समान ठहराव, कोई ऊपर या नीचे नहीं, एक समान ठहराव। तभी ब्रिटिशर्स थे या अपने खुद के लोग थे, सब पे, अपने लोगों पे रहम दृष्टि, सामने वाले लोग पे भी रहम दृष्टि, कि हमें भी उनसे एक फादरहुड की फीलिंग आई, ब्रदरहुड की फीलिंग आई, और जो ब्रिटिशर्स थे उनको भी उनसे फादरहुड और ब्रदरहुड की फीलिंग आई। और हर एक को अपनी गलती का, मिस्टेक का एहसास खुद से खुद को हुआ, जो ब्रिटिशर्स को भी हुआ, राइट? तभी उनका, अगर हम डे मनाते हैं 2 अक्टूबर, दैट इज़ फॉर एन इटर्नल रिस्पेक्ट, जो पूरे वर्ल्ड में हर कोई उनके लिए करता है, इनको रिस्पेक्ट देता है, क्योंकि दैट ही रिस्पेक्ट ह्यूमैनिटी एंड वो एस्टैब्लिश द काम एंड स्टिल माइंड। अब उनका फेस देखिए कैसा लगता है, राइट? बिकॉज जो अंदर है ना, ऑटोमेटिकली बाहर हमारे फेस से झलकता है, राइट? दैट्स व्हाई इट सेड बॉडी लैंग्वेज, that's why it said body language, because that body is expressing the language of the soul. The body is expressing the inner language of the soul. The soul who we are the eternal energy. तो हम क्या एनर्जी अपने अंदर क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, हमारी बॉडी से झलकेगा। और हम किस तरीके से कंडक्ट में आ रहे हैं, वो भी हमारी सोल की परिभाषा है। जो हम सोल्स हैं ना, हम सब एक एनर्जी है, वो हम किस तरह की एनर्जी है, हमारे अंदर क्या क्रिएट हो रहा है, वो हमारे एक्शन से झलकेगा। आज नहीं तो कल, कहते हैं ना, हमें इसकी वास्तविकता पता चलेगी, बिकॉज ट्रुथ कभी भी छुपाया नहीं जा सकता, अल्टीमेटली बाहर आता ही है। तो आपको अंदर करना है, बट यू नो द वेरी ब्यूटीफुल थिंग इज एनर्जी कैन ऑलवेज बी ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड, एनर्जी कैन ऑलवेज बी ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड। तभी हमें अपने ऊपर ही वर्क करना होता है। हम अपने ऊपर जितना वर्क करेंगे ना, हमारी एनर्जी बढ़ती जाएगी, बढ़ती जाएगी, बढ़ती जाएगी। और अगर हम आसपास की चीज़ों को ऐसे अगर करेंगे, वी नो कि अगर ये लाइक वी नो इंटरनली कि ये वाइज क्या है, राइट? हम हर एक चीज़ को बहुत सही रूप से पहचानेंगे। बहुत एक सही रूप से, एक सही गलत की इतनी सुंदर परख शक्ति अपने में आएगी कि हमें खुद पे उसमें एक एक इनर अंदर एक से एक नाज होगा, और हम एक बहुत एक डिवाइन कामनेस एंड स्टिलनेस क्रिएट होगा, एंड इससे हार्मनी अपने आप इस्टेब्लिश होती है. सो अब हम शॉर्टली इस पर एक डिवाइन मेडिटेशन प्रैक्टिस करते हैं विद अ वेरी वेरी डिवाइन कंडक्ट. स्पेशली अगर अभी हमें जो पंजाब का भी चल रहा है तो उसमें हम, एंड इस तरीके के और भी ऐसे इवेंट्स हैं, एंड अभी जो करंटली ऐसे हो रहा है, हम कैसे क्या करें और अपनी शक्ति कैसे बढ़ाएं, इस पर हम एक डिवाइन सेशन बहुत जल्द करते हैं. राइट. ओम शांति. एंड बिफोर फिनिशिंग आई वुड लाइक टू से, हमें रोज़ इस तरीके की दिनचर्या अपने में रोज़ करनी है. जो हमें नेचुरल हमारा स्वरूप बनेगा ना, नेचुरल हमारा स्वरूप बनेगा, डेली हमारी सिचुएशंस में ये झलकेगा, तो ऑटोमेटिकली कोई भी सिचुएशन कभी भी अगर ऐसी अनफोर्सिन आएगी, हम उसको बहुत आसानी से तय करेंगे. मैंने मेनली ये वीडियो इसलिए बनाया ताकि हम इस पर एक लाइट डाल सके कि क्यों है ये इतना significant, and why it's the call of time now, why it's the call of time to get initiated now. Om Shanti.